Hi, and welcome to Newsmakers 2022 Journal of the Variant Year. I'm Jerry Roberts. It is Friday, January 7th. We are here with Santa Barbara's top local journalist, Jade Martinez-Pogue, from Newshawk, Josh Molina, international man of mystery, and June Starkey from the Santa Barbara Independent. Happy New Year to you all. And maybe it's not such a happy New Year, Jade, given the latest stats on what I like to call the Omicron variant. Give us a recap of where we are with the pandemic.
Yeah, so basically, the county reported a record-breaking number of daily new cases last Friday. So on New Year's Eve, that record was broken on Wednesday and then broken again on Thursday by like 300-400 cases. So the case rates are higher than we've ever seen, but the hospitalizations have like stayed fairly, they're inching up a little bit, but not like they're not paralleling the cases, if that makes sense.
Are we in any danger of COVID cases overwhelming our hospital capacity?
That's always a concern. And I'm no like epidemiologist or medical expert, but the way it's looking right now is we've been far worse in terms of hospitalizations. And so if it stays where it is right now, I don't think the hospitals are at that like red breaking point. I think yesterday there was still like 30% availability, which is
Is there any indication that this is spiking so much because there's so much more testing going on?
Yeah, there's been a lot more testing in the recent weeks than there was, at this point last year and even just a few months ago. So if you do look at it, there are a lot more cases, but the volume of testing has also gone up a lot. I haven't looked at how much testing has gone up versus how much the cases have gone up, but I do think the increased testing is definitely a factor.
But it's still hard to find tests for some people, or you have to stand in line and you can't get the cheap test. And meanwhile, this is playing havoc with the schools, June. We got this op-ed from Susan Salcido, the county superintendent of schools, written by Josh's close personal friend, Kamala Barnwell, which it's a real head scratcher trying to keep track of all of the requirements and stuff. But what's the situation in the Santa Barbara Unified?
Yeah, so I think this week we've seen that I think at least 150 students have so far tested for COVID. And I know that 250 staff members are out and like 1,900 students haven't come back to school at all this week.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's clear that the variant's coming back around. Winter break, we didn't protect as much as we should have. And I think that they're just trying to get ahead of it as fast as they can and do these screen tests so that they can make sure that it's not going to spread even further.
All right. Can you clarify now, is the school district requiring students to have a screening test to go back to class now?
So staff are required to screen test. Students have the option to opt out and produce their own negative test. I believe that they are allowing students to do an independent study if they don't want to test at all, but it is the students have to consent.
So they do. So, or else go back to Zoom school, be sentenced to Zoom school.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the independent study is. They haven't really clarified what that would look like, but it would be some form of distance learning.
So Josh, everyone knows that you have a massive jihad against the Santa Barbara Unified School District and Superintendent Hilda Maldonado. How would you assess how they're handling the situation?
So I've heard epidemiologist and jihad in the first 6 minutes of this
2022
podcast.
It's the variants.
So I'm going to take a break and go look those words up, and I will be back. No. So the school district, let's step back a little bit here. There was a lot of confusion because schools started again on Monday after the 2-week break. And they put out these confusing messages telling students that they needed to get tested. And a lot of the parents felt that the testing was mandatory, and it was not mandatory at that time. But what it led to was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, these long lines at Earl Warren Showgrounds of students who needed to get tested before school started on Monday. Now, the Friday before the break, the schools put or made available tests, and some students picked them up. Most, I guess most students did, but the ones who didn't were left scrambling at the last minute trying to get a COVID test before they went back to school, because the language in these various emails were require, highly recommend, and one of them said it is voluntary. So people were confused. There's this long line to get a test. So then school starts and 1,900 kids don't go back to school between Monday and Thursday.
And
Doesn't mean they're COVID positive, but what it means is that they're staying home because they don't want to get COVID by going to school. And then on site, 151 students tested positive. So we have a massive decline in attendance this week in schools. So what does Hilda Maldonado do? She puts out a message yesterday that says all kids have to get tested, mandatory on Monday. And if it'll take a few days to test everybody, but if you don't, you can do independent study. Independent study is not Zoom school. It's
not.
No, it's you go do your thing and then report back at the end of the week. So it's a tumultuous time at the school district. They're going to somehow have to test every student beginning on Monday. And we're talking about, all levels, elementary, junior high, high school. This is a very serious situation. And so parents are very concerned. Obviously, we want everybody to be healthy and get tested, but as a practical matter, Jerry, the school district is always like behind. They're always, there's no leadership to say, like, there was no reason that before the break, your board members, a couple of your personal favorites, Jerry, we won't name names, couldn't have said to Hilda, we need to make testing mandatory and we need to make it clear so we don't have this debacle when students go back to school. Instead, they have to watch it play out and then do the obvious.
So everyone also knows that you really have a crush on the Goleta School District. Is that what they did?
How can I have a crush on an inanimate object? Jerry, don't answer that. Look, they're different. They're smaller. They're elementary school only. And what they have is a voluntary test program. So kids who want to be tested, families who want their kids to be tested can be tested. And as far as we know, they haven't put out any info. And I don't really cover the Goleta Schools beats anymore. That's someone else on our staff. I don't know of any alarming number of COVID cases, certainly not in my child's school.
All right. And Jay, this is all starting to look like Groundhog Day 2020 again, because now the Natural History Museum is closed. I know the redistricting hearing has been called off. People are shutting down. What's the level of alarm that you're hearing from the county health officials?
To be completely honest, I haven't heard much from the county public health officials in the recent weeks. They're set to go before the Board of Supervisors on Tuesday to provide an update. So I'm really curious to see what they say there. Yeah, I can't imagine another like complete shutdown or closure like we had back in March and in 2020, unless it gets really bad in terms of hospitalizations and deaths. I think that's the biggest indicator. The cases obviously not good. We want to keep them low, but I think the biggest worry is the severity of sickness and how many people are dying. So unless those start to go up more, I can't imagine the county placing any restrictions, or the state. Different agencies or businesses, that's their own decision, what they think is safest, but that's what I predict.
One of the interesting things in Newshawk's reporting on this was that the cases now are more numerous on the South Coast than they are in North County, which is different than it has been throughout the pandemic. And that's why I asked about the testing. Is there more testing being done here
Yeah.
in North County?
I asked Dr. Anzorg about that, I think last week, and he couldn't give me a definite answer, but he gave me like a guess and what he thinks is happening. In his opinion, that he thinks that maybe more people on the South Coast traveled for the holidays, or more people had guests visiting on the South Coast. So there was more testing, which in turn led to more cases. But again, he couldn't confirm that. That was just his best.
They don't have any, I mean, not to disrespect Dr. Anzor, but they don't know. I mean,
Nobody
there's
knows
more,
nothing.
there's more testing that's going on, but I mean, we've been hearing them speculate for almost 3 years now, and it changes the following month. So there's more testing that's going on. That's number one. Two, we're not getting results from the jail, from the Lompoc jail prison. So we have no idea what those numbers are. We did have those numbers in the past, so that might be skewing things. What is June playing with over there?
I think she's got her Christmas kitty. No, who is that? Who is that?
This is Lily. She won't leave me alone if I'm at my desk, so she has to be with us now.
All right. Well, Lily, welcome, Lily. So, June, you've heard Josh's vicious personal attack on the superintendent of the schools. Do you think it's that bad? Do you think they've really mishandled this?
I mean, I'd like to give people the benefit of the doubt and try to be as kind as possible, because I haven't worked here for 30 years, so I have to be nice. But I think that they're doing the best that they can. I know that they really want to keep kids in school, and they really don't want to have to go back to Zoom lessons. And that's kind of been the number one mission. So I think given the circumstances that they have now, they're trying their best.
It really is complicated, and it's just this moving target. And I know the grandkids were all informed that they have been exposed to COVID, but they're still allowed to go back to school, even though they're not allowed to come to my house anymore. So it's just it's such a moving target. So I'm with you, June. I give people the benefit of the.
Oh yes, Jerry. Let's talk about Kathy Murillo and Doss Williams, since you're in such a good mood.
It's 2022, Josh. It's time to turn the page and move on, except on cannabis. Okay, June, so you had the weirdest story of the week, I have to say. So some YouTuber crashes a plane on purpose into the mountains or something. Okay, can you just kind of unpack that for us?
Yeah, allegedly. So he posted this video that
What's his name?
His name is Trevor Jacob. He's relatively popular YouTuber, but he was actually an Olympic snowboarder. I think he competed in like the 2014 Olympics. But yeah, so he posted this video. I think it's got like 500,000 views on YouTube so far, but it shows him in this small plane, and he's going to sprinkle the ashes of his friend somewhere in the Sierra Nevada mountains. But at some point he experiences engine failure, and he's pretty high up. He's I think at least 20,000 feet in the air. But he experiences the failure. He doesn't really explain what's going on, but then you just see him nosedive out of the plane, out of the door of the plane, and
He jumps out of the plane.
And he parachutes down, and
Selfie stick in hand.
Yeah. And then the GoPros still attached to his plane kind of capture him, the plane just plummeting into the mountains, and it just is destroyed there. I think it's a 1940 Taylorcraft, so it's a mostly wooden plane. So it just was destroyed in the mountains.
And then he hires a helicopter to remove the wreckage, as the FAA is informed of this incident and perhaps is investigating.
Yeah, I know that the employees at the airport explained to him that they would need to see the wreckage. I don't know. He hasn't answered any inquiries, so I'm not sure what he was doing or what he was thinking. But yeah, apparently he and a friend chartered a helicopter and a flatbed truck and just moved it out of the mountains. And I don't know where it is now, but
He took off from where? From Lompoc?
yeah, from Lompoc Airport.
Josh, I know that you are a master of clickbait. And for example, your interview with Bill McFadden, I'm sure, is shattering all records. But this is clickbait. This is what you need to do for clickbait.
You're going to accuse me of clickbait? This is from a guy who releases his watch hours on YouTube, Jerry? Come on.
We didn't release him. We just put him on the show.
Um,
Go ahead.
hey,
Isn't
I don't
this a
know.
weird story? How would you pursue this story next? If the guy won't talk, he's vamoosed with the plane, but there's still this mystery. I mean, he did it. I mean,
I
it's
mean, the FAA is investigating, so there will be a report. Whether it's, next week or within a few months is up to them, but there will be some conclusion to this eventually. I know that when I talked to the NTSB, they said that because no one died, it's not that serious of an investigation for them, but it is a crime to do that to do that in a national park and to leave it and to also remove any evidence that was there. Yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
Jerry, I think we should try to pull off some stunt similar to this and see if we can boost up our respective podcasts. Why don't you go first?
No, I think we'll have June rent a plane. How did you find out? Are you a fan of this guy? Do you watch his YouTube? How did you find out about it?
No, someone sent it into us, but apparently there's entire communities on the internet, and the aviation community got very upset at this video because a lot of them were able to, point out it immediately that was very suspicious, that he would have a parachute on in a very small plane, that, in the distance in the video, you can see that there's like a flat patch of land.
He might have landed.
Yeah, where he could have easily glided the plane slowly down if the engine was truly out and just landed it as easily as possible. Like allowing the plane to be destroyed is kind of the last option if it's a life or death situation.
Weird. All right. 2022 is off to a weird start, but Jade, I'm speaking of clickbait. How about those kangaroos, huh? What's going on at the zoo? That was kind of an interesting. Did you go to the zoo and see the kangaroos, or did you have to do that by Zoom?
June and I we were there. We got to see the wallabies, the kangaroos, and the emus. The kangaroos were a lot smaller than I had anticipated. I was, picturing a big kangaroo with like boxing gloves and hopping around, but they're little kangaroos.
You got to get outside more.
Not culture.
Watching cartoons all day long.
But no, it was a really cool exhibit. The guests walk along a path, and it used to be the elephant exhibit, but they turned it into the Australian walkabout. And so you walk along a path and all the animals are just free roaming. So they can walk in front of you, but they were usually just like on the side on their little grassy areas. But yeah, it was cool.
And June, so the zoo is still open and you can go to the zoo, right? I mean, do you have to wear a mask while you're looking at the animals, or what's the protocol?
Yeah, I know they suggest masks. I did notice that a lot of people weren't wearing masks while I was in there. I'm not sure how much they're enforcing it, but yeah, you should wear a mask while you're at the zoo.
And could you please explain the difference between a kangaroo and a wallaby?
No.
Lots of vowels in both.
Jerry, I would like to know that you're always talking.
Oh, you're muted.
I'm not muted. Can you not hear me?
No, now we can hear you. You were muted when you
First
were
of all,
insulted.
you're muted and you're on mute is one of the banned terms of 2022. So I'll figure it out.
What was the insult you wanted to, before I ask you?
It wasn't an insult. I was going to say, you are always saying that we're not a Twitter town in Santa Barbara, but Jade's tweet about her coverage of the kangaroos and the wallabies and the capybaras or whatever they have going on over there got as of this moment, 33 likes. So Jerry, you're old news. 30. Have you ever tweeted anything?
Maybe we can use that to begin to build the Santa Barbara Twitter community, so we can have Twitter fights as well as these fights. And speaking of wearing masks outside, Josh, Randy Rouse, the incoming mayor, is going to have his swearing in, and of course that of re-elected council members Friedman, Harmon, and Snedden next Tuesday. but then they're gonna go inside for the meeting, so the public is still banned from the meetings, correct?
Public is still banned. They're going to do the ceremonial items outside. I'm not sure what that's going to look like, but there'll be the swearing in and comments from the new council or the same council members, but new terms. And then everybody's got to go home. Megan Harmon and her new baby.
Jack.
She's
Jack.
Jack. Yeah, Jack. I knew that, Jerry, was right there. She's going to do the rest of the meeting by Zoom, and everybody's going into City Hall because Randy really wanted a return to the council chamber, and he's still pushing for that. But obviously, since we've had this rise in COVID-19 cases, it would be kind of foolish to push for this. And nobody, the staff, nobody really wants to be in that room. So they're going to be outside. So that means everybody can come, one and all. Jerry, you can hang out in De La Guerra Plaza and watch the momentous occasion of the handing of the gavel from a council member who spent 9 years to a council member who will now spend 5.
Well, I just might go just to make sure that it happens. All right. So Jade, what else you working on?
The board of supervisors are meeting next week, so I'll be back on that county government beat.
And they're changing the cannabis rules again, speaking of incomprehensible
Yeah.
regulations.
I haven't looked at the staff report too much yet, but there's an adjustment to the cannabis business license fee. It hasn't been changed since 2018, so I think it's just adjusting for new salaries.
I
And
mean, raising. They're going to raise it. Is that what?
I believe so. Yeah, I haven't looked too much at it yet, but I could only imagine to make up for. I think it's to make up for like revenue that they haven't been making because it hasn't been adjusted since 2018. So
And what about Supervisor Hart now? Is he gonna stay, or is he gonna run for the assembly? What's your view on that?
I haven't heard anything. I go to Josh for all that stuff, so I'm not too sure.
I got scooped by Nick this week on that one.
No. Look, I don't care who scoops me, whatever. It's small town. I support
It's
all the
just when you
journalists.
scoop somebody, then you do a big touchdown dance.
But Nick's story was Greg Hart is thinking about running for assembly.
I
That's
know,
not a
but that,
scoop.
you know what? The headline didn't say that. The headline said he was running for the assembly, which really fooled me, and they ended up changing the headline. June, are you back in the office yet? Is the Independent have an office yet? Or what's this? Well, obviously you're not right now, but because
Yeah,
this is your boat, as I
Yeah, this is my boat. But yeah, we are back in the office. It's just it's very white, and I would like to have a better background before I move from the one I've built here.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's progress in the pandemic, is getting back into the office. And Josh, what news did Bill McFadden break on your famous suck up interview with him on your podcast?
I just want to say June may have grown up on a boat, but she found her real love at Santa Barbara City College.
All right.
No. Hey, it's an inside joke referring to the journalism program.
Sheila
Okay.
Lodge does not like that when we do that, so you can't.
Sheila Lodge doesn't like when we do. Okay, no insider talk. Okay, Bill McFadden. He spoke very highly of you, Jerry.
He did.
Uh,
Oh
did.
well,
Yes.
everyone should listen to that then.
He said no longer are San Francisco Giant fans the worst fans in the world. Now they are Houston Astro fans. They're the worst
That's
fans in the world.
That's good. All right.
Newshawk talked about a direct public offering. I don't really know all the details of that, but something that Bill is working on that they're going to announce later in the year as a way to raise funds. I would refer to him so he can talk about that, but that sounds kind of interesting. That was sort of the most newsworthy. He talked about Jade's fellowship project, and mostly it was an inside window into Bill McFadden's rise in the journalism industry, Jerry. And I thought you would be of interest of that. You know, you being
I've got it queued up. I'm gonna listen to that one at any moment. June, there are, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 seats for the school board that are up this year. Are there not? Kate Ford and who else? Oh, Josh, who else is up this year? Laura's not up. No.
Sorry, I'm losing you a little bit. My connection is unstable. Not sure if you can hear me.
Yeah, that's not all that's unstable. Are you going to be covering those races, June, or what's the outlook there?
Yeah, I am going to be covering those. Sorry, someone just came back into my boat.
Was it the cat? Was it the cat?
Yeah, she opened the door.
Fluffy? No,
Lily.
what's the cat's name?
Oh, she
Really?
can open the door. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Gosh, who else is up? Who else is up this year on the school board beside Kate? Who
Kate
else?
I don't know who's up. I guess that would be, would that be Rose? Is it
Oh,
Rose?
Rose is, that's right. Yeah, Rose was elected.
Rose is the new chair of the
Yeah.
board.
Is Kate going to run again? Do we know? I haven't talked to her.
Probably. I don't know. She's your source, not mine,
I'm
Jerry.
sure Rose, I've kind of let the school board go a little bit. I think I'll have to come back and stir up some trouble. All right. Thank you all for taking the time on a Friday afternoon, the first Friday. Is this the first Friday of the new year? I think it is the first Friday of the new year. So we got a lot of weird news. We got kangaroos, wallabies, YouTubers crashing planes, and Josh attending the outdoor swearing in of the new mayor. So thanks a lot to Jade Martinez-Pogue, Josh Molina, and June Starkey. And we will see you next time on Newsmakers. Thanks for watching.